This is the exact sales system that we've used to help home service clients grow from $500,000 to 10 million plus. Now, that's without adding more reps or spending more on ads. And I'm going to show you exactly how to build out a scalable, repeatable sales process for any home service business. Whether you're just getting started or you're looking to kind of break through that next ceiling, the truth is your competition isn't beating you because they have better ads or cheaper prices. What we typically see is they're just working their leads better. Most home service businesses lose deals not from bad leads, but from sloppy follow-up, missed steps, broken systems, etc. There's no extra ad spend, no hiring spree, just a smarter way to convert leads that you already have. So if you stick around to the end, you will have a fully built, scalable, and profitable sales process that will beat your competition every single time. All right, so we're going to dive right in. Now, what you see on my screen right now probably looks overly complex. And hear me out. We are going to break it down. We're going to make it super simple. Some of you will need all of this. Some of you only need a chunk of it. And this is going to apply to any type of home service. It doesn't matter if you're a plumber, AC, roofing, construction, whatever it may be. The principles in this video and what we will look at here are for any type of home service business. And if we come to this top left part right here, it says speed to lead, proper qualification, quick notes, and simple follow-up. That is our goal. Now, we'll talk about what each of those are in just a moment, and we're going to go through every step of this. Like I said, if you follow through to the end, we're going to have a fully baked, sales process that is profitable, scalable, and easy to use. So the first thing I want to talk about is the importance of speed to lead. Now, a lot of you are getting PPC leads, you're getting inbound applications or quotes from the website. You have people, calling your business number, and we lack speed to lead, meaning when the actual application comes in, how long is it taking us to call that customer back, right? And your competition may be quicker. They may be faster at this. And this is a huge problem for a lot of organizations that we work with, because if I am a customer, the first thing I'm going to be doing is going to 5 different websites and requesting a quote. And whoever I get a call from first, most likely I'm going to move forward with them. Now, if you have a higher ticket product, for example, a $30,000 roof, they may check with a couple people. But if you can be the first person to talk to them, your odds of closing those deals are going to be much, much higher. Now, same thing with PPC. PPC, typically that lead is not owned only by you. That means that that lead is going to go to multiple people. So again, if we can be the first person to have a conversation with them, that is key. Now, the second is proper qualification. So depending on the lead volume and the size of your team, we need to make sure that we're prioritizing the correct leads. And that's really going to come down to, the application, the volume, we'll talk about that, and then simple check. And I'm going to go through every one of these softwares and how they work and when to use them and when not to use them. Lastly, is quick quotes and proposals and appointment scheduling, right? So we need to be able to efficiently send a proposal out. We need to be able to efficiently follow up, and that's why I have simple follow up there. We need to, reduce the creative burden that a sales rep has in their day to day. They don't need to be thinking about what to do. They just know what to do next, and the system helps them do their job better. And their job is to sell stuff, not to be logging activities, not to be, messing around the system. We want to increase the time they spend on sales and revenue generating activities. Metrics that need to be tracked. And if you're not tracking these metrics right now, get out a spreadsheet, have your team log these. We need to understand what is actually happening. So if you have an application on your website, we need to understand the total number of applications, the connection rate when you call those applications, we'll call them back, the total number of sets or quotes that result from that application, the average order value, the revenue and cash. Okay, if you're not tracking those, start tracking them right away. That'll make everything easier. The second is inbound group number. So if you have a group number on your website where someone can call, how many inbound calls are you receiving on a daily basis? How many calls are actually missed? I don't know what that bubble is. How many are missed? What is the number of quotes that are actually going out? So how many are converting to a quote? How many of those quotes are converting to a close? The average order value, the revenue, and the cash. Okay. And then lastly, PPC. So how many total leads are coming in? What is our connection rate? So if 100 leads come in, how many do we actually end up speaking with? Out of those, how many are we setting or quoting? And then out of the quotes, how many are converting? And then the same thing, average order value, revenue, and cash. Okay. You can do a simple spreadsheet. If you have something more complex, amazing, but you have to track that stuff. So now let's talk about each of these softwares. And these are all really, really important. So for your website needs to be on something like Webflow or um, Webflow is probably your best option, right? You want to make sure your website is decently optimized. The second is going to be the website opt-in form, and you can use Jotform, you can use iClosed, or you can use Typeform. Now, I recommend Jotform for a basic application or form, but iClosed is going to help you actually increase the amount of people that are filling it out and spending the time to actually schedule a call with you or get to that next step. We want to reduce the friction in the sales process when it comes to quotes. We want to make sure we get as many people filling that thing out as possible and having as many conversations. The second is if you're actually scheduling appointments, maybe it's a higher ticket item and you're actually scheduling it, iClose is going to be your best option there as well. Okay. Simple Check. Now, this is one that you guys probably have never heard of before. Simple Check is an incredible software that upon filling out the quote or the application, we are actually able to pull credit data. So for roofers, for solar, if you need to run some type of pre-qualification or understand if they're financially qualified to be able to purchase one of these things with financing, Simple Check will get that information before you even speak with them. The next up is dialer.io. And this is where speed to lead actually comes in. So once we get a lead into the system, regardless if they're a PPC lead, they're an inbound group number, they're an application, we want to get them to dialer.io. It is the best dialer on the market right now. It is going to make sure that we're actually hitting speed to lead. We should be able to hit these leads within a minute of them actually opting in. And that's just because the automation takes a second to get the lead in there. But what it's going to do is it's always going to prioritize your number one lead. So you have a speed lead campaign, the lead comes in, the highest priority is going to be called first, which will be those new opt-ins. Then once those are exhausted, it's going to go to priority 2, priority 3, priority 4, which is going to ensure that you're talking to your highest priority, hottest leads every single time. Now, you also need a CRM for this. Depending on what CRM you're on, you can use your own CRM. We recommend close.com. Close.com is going to allow you to have a very, very simple interface. It's going to be very cleanly laid out. I can show you what that looks like in a moment. If you're actually taking sales calls on Zoom for whatever reason, you can use Fathom. And then ultimately N8N and ChatGPT. That's for the feedback loop, the marketing. We analyzed if a sales rep is taking 25 sales calls a week and a manager has 12 reps and they're reviewing one call or 12 hours of calls per week, that's only about 0.4 or 4%, 0.04, I guess, 4% of total calls that are actually happening. Now, if you're a busy manager or a founder and you need to understand what's actually happening, this is where that feedback loop is going to be super, super important. And then lastly, ActiveCampaign, which is going to be your marketing platform. Okay. Now, I'm going to show you where to plug these in. And what is most important is this complex looking thing here, but it is not that complex. The reason we map this out is so that we understand that we have all of the gaps plugged. We want to make sure there's never a lead that actually slips through the cracks. So when a lead is generated, we only have 4 real options, right? We have applications, we have inbound group number, we have PPC leads, and an anonymous website visitors. We'll talk about how you can actually pull that information in a minute so you don't even miss out on those. But if they fill out an application on your website, you can send them to Simple Check immediately if you need the financing information. If you don't, we're going to skip the speed to lead. So we are going to send that lead directly to dialer.io and to your CRM. Now, since your agents are live in dialer.io, it is going to dial that person back within a minute or two. Okay. Every minute that goes by that we do not get a hold of that client, they're less likely to answer. So this ensures that we have true speed to lead. Now, once we start calling them and they're in dialer.io, eventually contact will be made or contact isn't made. If contact isn't made, that's fine. It just stays in the system. There's no further action needed. Now, for inbound group number, basically, if you're using close.com, we're going to set up a group number. And the point of that is to make sure that you're doing a round robin to your available
team members. Now, if you remember, number of missed calls is a metric that we need to track because we need to make sure we have the right amount of availability for the sales rep inside of that organization to be able to answer all of those calls. We do not want to miss calls. That's the same thing as not hitting your leads quickly enough. Okay. And then lastly, we are going to put them onto a smart view and call those people. If we did miss the call, then they're going to be on a smart view. We can dial them, we can get a hold of them, and then contact will be made. Next up is PPC. So PPC, we are going to put them in a speed to lead campaign via dialer. So we're going to send that lead to the dialer. They're going to be called almost instantaneously. It's going to be added to the CRM as well. And then contact will either be made or not made. Okay. And then lastly, anonymous website visitors. You can check out something called Pearl Diver. And basically what we want to do is anyone that visits the website but does not fill out an application, we want to grab their information, send that to close.com. If we have a phone number, we put it in the speed to lead campaign. We can call them right away. If not, we put them in email marketing campaign. Okay. Now, if you're not using dialer.io, the alternative to this is we send it to the CRM, we enroll it in an outbound workflow, and then we add it to a smart view. Okay. Now, once contact is made, we need to make sure that leads also are not slipping through the cracks because the contact is the first piece. We need to get a hold of them, and that's what all of this will take care of. Okay. Now, once we actually make contact, this is a really important part because they're either going to be qualified or not qualified. If they're not qualified, we just need to disposition them as not qualified, and we want to send them the marketing, right? We paid for that lead, we got that lead. Now we need to make sure that it stays in our ecosphere so that when they think about us in the future or when they need a service from us in the future, we're top of mind. Okay. So they just simply get enrolled to a marketing campaign. Now, if they are qualified, we need to do one of two things. It depends on your business. We need to send a quote or we need to schedule like an in-person visit, right? And we need this to be as efficient as possible. Now, in your CRM, we also need a way to be able to track if the quote was paid or the quote is pending. Okay. If we send a quote and it gets paid, amazing. Then we just go into our fulfillment process. But more than likely, it's going to end up pending. A lot of them are going to end up pending. So if a quote is pending, we need to be able to add them to a smart view where we can actually delay them. Let's say after 48 hours, they pop up in the smart view. We know that we need to call them, right? So then we do agent outreach. We get them on the phone and we disposition that lead. Ultimately, it's going to end up as a won or lost deal. Now, again, the speed to lead is going to be the biggest needle mover for 99% of your businesses. How quickly can we get a response to the customer that filled out a form that the PPC lead came by? Because our competition, if they beat us to it, more than likely we're going to lose that business. Otherwise, we are playing a different game. If we are the second person or third person to contact them, that means now we have to sell against them instead of being the first provider. Okay. Now, what does this actually look like in practice? Well, I want to go ahead and show you a close.com account. And inside of a close.com account, we need to focus on custom activities. Okay. So your custom activities are going to signify your sales process. So if we come back to this, when an application is submitted, we need to have a custom activity. Okay. So typically that's going to be O1 new activity. And this is going to outline your sales process. So it's going to look a little different than this. This is for like a high ticket coaching client, right? Where we have a new activity. For them, it's going to be a webinar opt in, a VSL opt in. For you guys, it's going to be a quote request, right? Or something on the website, an actual app submitted. And we're going to log that activity. Now, the cool part about logging these activities is if we come in here and we go custom activity, we can see exactly how many people submitted that activity. And we can also see the activity type if you have different forms on your website, which most of you probably will. Now, once we have that sorted, we can see exactly who has submitted a form and what is going on with those actual leads. So that is step one. Now, custom activities need to progress with your actual sales process. So your new activity is going to signify someone opted in. And this is going to do two things. It's going to trigger either the lead to be sent to dialer.io for your speed to lead campaign, or if you're not using dialer.io and you're using, let's say, close.com, That's the same for HubSpot or Go High Level. That new activity is then going to populate that lead into the smart view so we can start dialing. Okay. Now, the question is what happens after someone opts in, right? Well, we either make contact with them or we don't. And that is where we want a triage call completed or not completed. Now, that may be a quote call completed or not completed. Whatever naming convention you want to use for that, you can use, but we need to notify and let the system know that we had a conversation with that person or we did not have a conversation with that person. So if we have a triage call completed, this is where we're going to have our information on here. So we're going to have the user, we're going to have the date of the call, the outcome, and the notes. Okay. Now, the outcome, depending on your sales process, can differ. In here, we have bad fit, follow up, or schedule strategy session. For you as a home service business, you're probably going to have bad fit, you're going to have follow up, or you're going to have, send proposal, send quote send. Okay. Now, there is going to be a period in here where we sent a quote and we want a proposal sent activity. Okay. So when we send this proposal, now we also need a proposal completed activity. And if you see this, it's very, very straightforward. Opt in, call completed with the outcome, and then proposal sent. And then that puts it in a pending proposal status. Okay. Because a lot of you are going to be losing deals on the second half of this sales process, which is now we provided a quote. How are we following up with them? Are we following up with them? And how many leads are actually falling through the cracks because we are not properly following up with them? So we want a activity for pending proposal or proposal sent. Give the thumbs up again. Now, once we do that, we want a proposal completed activity. Okay. And the proposal completed activity is the same as a deal one activity. Okay. That means that we collected cash on that proposal. Now, when we do this, we will create a smart view, right? And I'll actually just create this in here. So we'll go ahead and create these custom activities real quick just for you guys. So we'll have a proposal submitted. We're going to save that. And we don't need to do anything there. And then we're going to have proposal completed. Now, you have to think of these smart views in order of a bucket. Okay. And we have another video on using close.com smart views, but this principle applies for whatever CRM you're actually using. So with the proposal submitted activity, we need to come in here. We need to add a custom activity where proposal submitted exists. I got to refresh. So custom activities, proposal submitted, activity exists. Okay. And now we need to add a filter for custom activity. Proposal completed does not exist. Okay. So it's basically saying, hey, a proposal has gone out, but we have not completed it. And then we want to add some filters. So for example, task, total number of tasks, incomplete tasks, sorry. Total number of incomplete tasks is less than 1. So we're basically saying, hey, there's no future dated task for the sales rep to follow up with this person. What are we doing here? We're making sure that leads never slip through the cracks. So if they don't have an upcoming task, it needs to be on here. Okay. And then we want communication. So communication, find latest communication where date is more than or not within the last, and we'll put 48 hours. Okay. So this is basically saying there is a lead exists, that a proposal was submitted, and there is no completion of that proposal. There's no future dated task, and the last communication is not within the last 48 hours. Now we better be following up with that lead or dispositioning it as lost, which means the proposal will be completed or a deal lost activity would be submitted. Okay. Now, what this is going to do is ensure that anyone we send a proposal to, we have complete visibility on who is pending and how to work those deals. Okay. So repeat, we need to make sure we are looking at these actual numbers. If you're not tracking them, start tracking them. I don't care if it's on a Google Sheet, however you do it, these need to be done. Now, lead generation, speed to lead is going to be the most important piece that you can have here. And then everything needs to make it into your actual CRM. The entire goal of this first part is to make contact with the lead and be more effective at making contact with the lead than anyone else in your competition. The second half of the sales process is once contact is made, are we making sure that a lead never slips through the cracks? Okay. So, anyone that has a proposal, we need to make sure that a proposal submitted activity exists and a proposal completed activity exists. And if those two are not on the same lead, then we know we have to follow up with them. Okay. If you guys implement this correctly, I promise you, your revenue will skyrocket. This alone will generate more revenue than you can imagine. But the second piece is if you get the follow up, you make sure a lead never slips through the cracks, then you will just double down on everything you have. Now, you guys have already paid for these leads. We better make as many connections as possible with the lead, and we better convert as many of those as possible. If you guys want more information on how to build this system out, you can check out the rest of the videos on our YouTube channel. We have videos on how to set up close.com, how to set up Zapier. But the important part for this video is that you understand that this workflow exists like this, that we have each of these touch points. Now, if you are missing any piece of this, you are just leaving money on the table. So leave a comment in the comment section if you are missing a piece, or what part you would like to see. If you want to see how to build out dialer.io, leave a comment, let us know. And please take this, implement it in your business. Make sure that you have each piece of this. Make sure you understand how long it is taking you to actually contact that lead and get a hold of them. Let us know what your connection rate is. How many of the actual leads are you getting a hold of? How many dials are you making, and what is that connection rate? So out of 100 dials, how many people actually picked up the phone? All right. So I hope this video is helpful. Check out the YouTube channel for other videos on content like this, and best of luck to your home service business.